Welcome and thank you for standing by. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. Today's webinar is being recorded and the recording will be posted publicly. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. Now I'd like to turn the call over to Mr. Mike Martin. Mike, the call is yours.
Thank you, Misty. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar titled New Public School Counts and Census Educational Attainment Statistics for Puerto Rico. My name is Mike Martin, and I'm the branch chief of the Education and Social Stratification branch here at the Census Bureau. I want to thank you for joining us today as part of our Puerto Rico webinar series. Before I introduce today's speakers, let's go over a few housekeeping items. As mentioned earlier, this webinar is being recorded. For your convenience, it will be posted to our website within 30 business days. We'll post all supplemental materials, including the PowerPoint slides. In terms of how to ask questions during the webinar, you can submit your written questions using the Q&A panel, which is at the bottom center or right side of your WebEx screen. Please take a moment to locate that now. Once you've found the Q&A panel, make sure you choose All Panelists from the drop-down menu. This will ensure we see your question. Don't send your questions to an individual panelist. Also, we ask that you do not include any personal or business identifiable information with your questions. During our presentations, I will be monitoring the Q&A panel. As time allows, myself or one of our presenters will answer your questions directly through the Q&A panel, or I will read aloud your question during the question and answer session after the presentations. For any questions that are not answered, please feel free to contact us with information we'll provide later. Now let's talk about the chat panel. Look for that on your screen now. It's right next to the Q&A panel. Keep that chat panel open because this is where we can provide helpful links and other resources. Keep in mind you won't be able to respond in chat. It is just for us to send links and resources. Lastly, at the end of the webinar, a link where you can tell us how we did today will be provided. Okay, with all those administrative items out of the way, I'd now like to introduce today's first speaker, Josue De La Rosa. Josue, or Josh De La Rosa, serves as the Director of Annual Reports and Information Staff within the National Center for Education Statistics. His responsibilities include overseeing the production of several reporting programs aimed at making NCES data more accessible to the public, including families, educators, policymakers, and researchers. These programs include the Condition of Education and the Digest of Education Statistics. Thanks again for being here, Josue. The floor is yours.
I'm Josue, or Josh De La Rosa, and today I will walk through a few of our new counts from the National Center for Education Statistics. Before I start in earnest, a quick introduction to the National Center for Education Statistics. For some of our attendees, this may be new. We were established in 1867 to report on the condition and progress of American education. Similar to the Census Bureau, we are a federal statistical agency here to provide timely, rigorous, and useful statistics to the American public. And lastly, NCES is part of the Institute of Education Sciences within the United States Department of Education. NCES has several data collection programs which report on the condition of education in Puerto Rico. For example, we have the National Assessment of Education Progress, or the NACES report card. Within NAEP, we measure math student achievement for Puerto Rico grades 4 and grades 8. At the post-secondary level, we have our program of integrated post-secondary education data system, which provides insights into institutions that are eligible to offer federal student aid. Here we have information on admissions, enrollment, retention, graduation rates, revenue, expenditure, staffing, and much more. But today we're going to focus on a common core of data. Our common core data is our collection of public school information. And today we'll review a few of those key information, including public school enrollment, staffing information, and a little bit on revenues and expenditures. So about the Puerto Rico Department of Education, as a school district, it would be based on size of enrollment. It would be the 7th largest school district as of the fall of 2023. So that highlights really where helps put into context the size or the number of students enrolled in the Puerto Rico Department of Education. Some more characteristics that you can find from the Common Core of Data program. There are 858 operational public schools, 10 being charter schools. And the Common Core of Data also has information on the level of schools that are available in Puerto Rico. So that includes 516 elementary, 205 high school, and 91 middle. One of the values of the Common Core of Data is that we have information for the public schools themselves, and we also have this information at the school district level or the state level as well. For Puerto Rico, the school district and the state level are about one and the same, but again, one of the useful or one of the fun things about the Common Core data is the level of detail that it allows. So I mentioned public school enrollment. So here is a graphic of the public school enrollment from the fall 2012 through fall 2022. As we see here, public school enrollment has declined in the past 10 years in Puerto Rico. This is about a 43% change since 2012 that we see, where the number was about 434,000 and has declined to just over 250,000 as of the fall 2012. The changes we see in Puerto Rico are not actually unique to Puerto Rico, as some of you may be aware that we've seen changes in public school enrollment across the nation. The CCD has shown that as I mentioned, the changes in enrollment by state. Across the nation, public school enrollment has declined about 4% in 14 states since 2019 compared to 2012. And in Puerto Rico specifically, we see that enrollment is about 14% down since 2019. So as I mentioned, the Common Core of Data has additional information beyond student enrollment. Here's a sample of the kind of information available regarding public school teachers and staffing information. Looking at the Puerto Rico school teacher, public school pupil teacher ratios from 2020 to 2022, we see that the rate has changed from about 1.9% to 1.4% in the past 4 years. We also have individual counts for full-time equivalent teachers. So that's about 24,000, a count of 24,000 full-time equivalent teachers in the public schools. And we also have detailed information about staffing information. So there's about 41,000 total staff, and we have information on the type of occupations the staff include in those counts. So here's a sample with 74 paraprofessionals and 787 school psychologists. The Common Core data also has information on revenue and expenditures. We partner with the United States Census the United States Census conducts the data collection of the financial surveys on behalf of National Center for Education Statistics. Here are a couple select findings from school year 2020-21 or fiscal year 21. State revenues in Puerto Rico were about $1.6 billion of the $2.38 billion total revenues, and federal revenues accounted for $750 million of the total revenues. Regarding total expenditures, they were about $2.37 billion in fiscal year 2021 for Puerto Rico, and current expenditures for education accounted for about $2.1 billion. Expenditures for instruction were about $902 million, and expenditures for student support services were about $340 million. And lastly, capital outlays accounted for $201.6 million of expenditures. So I covered several different aspects of the Common Core of data, and what I wanted also to do is share with you all on ways to access the data. There are several different ways. I want to highlight here the Elementary Secondary Information System, or ELSI. ELSI allows users to create custom tabulations based on the Common Core of data. It's a web application that does not require users to download any files or any registration. The link there is here on the presentation, and we'll make these slides available as well. The screenshot here shows sample columns that users can pick from. So I talked about overall enrollment. but you are able to, as a user, look at enrollment at specific schools and also look at enrollment by specific grade levels and also race, ethnicity as well, and create your own custom tabulations. One of the tools that our users find very helpful is part of our education demographic and geographic estimates program. This is one of our pride programs here at NCS. And what the EDGE program allows us here is not only look at the data from the tabular perspective, but you can also download geospatial files and look at the actual physical Latin long location for some of you data users who may want to do a little bit more different types of analysis with the Common Core data. We also have the condition of education. The condition of education, the condition of education contains key indicators of education, labor force outcomes, and international comparisons. The indicators summarize important developments and trends using the latest statistics, and they're updated throughout the year as data are available. The sample graph I have here is actually not from the Common Core data, but one of our other data collections, which is the Individuals with Disabilities Act. Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, and here this shows the number of students ages 3 to 24 served under the IDA as a percentage of public school enrollment. As you see here in Puerto Rico, it's about 34%. If you're more interested in some of the prepared tabulations, instead of making your own tabulations with the LC data tool, we also have the Digest of Education Statistics. Again, the Digest of Education Statistics is updated throughout the year with key tabulations. I have here sample tables of the fall enrollment counts and some of the staffing information that I've cited. And these tables will be updated throughout the year as new information is available. And they are available for not only Puerto Rico, but the other states and jurisdictions where data is available. So this ends my portion of the presentation. I want to thank you all for taking interest in the Common Core data. I want to thank, of course, our partners here at NCES that support the Common Core data. And I also want to take a minute to thank the school districts and the schools who provide the data to us. As data providers, you are important partners to us. I also want to take an opportunity to thank the Census for organizing this series and highlighting the value and availability of Puerto Rico data.
Thank you, Josue, for sharing your data with us. I think it was very interesting to see some of the trends there. Next up is Kevin McElrath, who will present data sourced from the Puerto Rico Community Survey. Kevin is a survey statistician here in the Education and Social Stratification branch at the Census Bureau. He serves as a subject matter expert for educational attainment and field of degree on the American and Puerto Rico community surveys, as well as on the island area census. And with that, Kevin, take it away.
All right, great. I'm just going to share my screen here. Just confirming you can see the screen.
Slides look good.
Great. Thank you for the introduction, Mike. My name is Kevin McElrath. And before getting started, I would like to acknowledge my colleagues, Eric Hernandez and Mike Martin, who helped prepare this presentation with me. So today we're going to chat a little bit about education data that is available using the Puerto Rico Community Survey and take a quick look at some trends in educational attainment in Puerto Rico. Now, the Puerto Rico Community Survey is part of the American Community Survey, which is the largest survey conducted by the Census Bureau, with about 3.5 million addresses surveyed each year. We release data every year to provide communities with current information and assess historical changes. And the survey asks or provides a vast amount of information on demographic, social, and economic characteristics of the population. The form is administered in both Spanish and English, and there are sort of two key data sets released each year. First, each fall, we release the one-year data, which includes nation, state, and other geographies with 65,000 people or more in them. And we also release a five-year data set that can be thought of as sort of trends data over the past 5 years. And this allows for a larger data file and for smaller geographies to be examined. For example, with the 5-year data, we could explore all counties or census tracts within Puerto Rico. The Puerto Rico Community Survey asks a few questions related to respondents' education, and these include school enrollment, whether that's public, private, or not enrolled, the grade that respondents are attending if they are enrolled, educational attainment, and the field of respondents' bachelor's degree. Now, the bulk of the discussion today is going to focus on educational attainment data, since NCES just gave that presentation on school enrollment, but we did want to make aware of the amount of data that we have on the Puerto Rico Community Survey. Now, just before getting into the data, this is a look at the school enrollment question on the PRCS. You'll see at the top here, we ask if respondents have been enrolled in school in the last 3 months and what type of school. And then we ask them to select what grade they're enrolled in. Similarly, this is the educational attainment question. We ask respondents what's the highest degree or level of school that the person has completed. You can see the range of options here going from no schooling complete to a doctoral degree. And one thing we did want to note here is that beginning in the year 2025, we are proposing a revised educational attainment question that's going to collapse these lowest 3 categories here of no schooling completed, nursery school, and kindergarten into a less than grade 1 category. So that's the proposal we have underway right now. Now, in addition to the data sets, we also release annual sets of tables on the ACS, and they can be accessed at data.census.gov. I provided a screenshot of that here. And here we have a list of our school enrollment tables going from left to right. You'll see the table ID, the topic, the title of table, and the data set that the table is available in. I'm not going to go through every single one today, but there are tables by level and type of school, age, sex, race, Hispanic origin, poverty status, and employment. Same sort of thing here. We have the educational attainment tables. And again, I'm not going to go through every single one, but we have educational attainment data and field of degree data by sex, age, and race. And if there's specific questions about specific tables, I'm happy to discuss that in the Q&A. You'll see the structure of the table IDs here with B15001 to B15003 dealing with attainment, and then B15010 to B15014 dealing with field of degree. And lastly, here I have the demographic profiles and subject tables displayed. These are among the more popular tables used on the ACS. DPO2 provides a general snapshot for a variety of social characteristics, which include both school enrollment and educational attainment. And then the subject tables, S1401 for school enrollment and S1501 for educational attainment, provide a general overview of their respective topics. So it's often the first place that we point data users interested in exploring the data. And as Mike mentioned before, this presentation is going to be made available online, and you can access all of our ACS education data products here with this link. So for the remainder of the talk, I did want to go through some trends in education data now that we have an understanding of what is available for Puerto Rico on the American Community Survey. This graph here displays the percent of the population 25 years and over with a high school degree or higher in the solid lines, and with a bachelor's degree or higher on the dashed lines. Looking first at the high school plus population for the total population, attainment increased from 69.5% in 2010 to 81.7% in 2022. Women's attainment was slightly higher than men's. And you can see women in orange and men here in blue. Bachelor's degree attainment also has increased, rising 7.5 percentage points since 2010 to 29.8% of the population 25 years and over. Again, women's attainment here is also higher than men's at 33.9% compared to 25.1%. Now, overall, this slide shows that since 2010, educational attainment has been increasing in Puerto Rico as more people obtain both high school and bachelor's degrees. Next, this figure presents detailed educational attainment data for the population 18 years and over in 2022. Now here we see the most common level of educational attainment is high school graduate at a little over a quarter of the population. And you'll see at the top of the graph, 8% of the population has a graduate or professional degree. I do want to note here that you can explore attainment at even greater levels of detail by single grade of attainment in table B15001 on data.census.gov. Now here we show educational attainment by age and sex. On the left-hand side, you can see the percent of each age group with a high school degree or higher. And on the right-hand side, we show the percent of each age group with a bachelor's degree or higher. Men are represented by the blue bars, and women are represented by the orange bars. There's a couple things I'd like to discuss in this table. First, attainment appears to be higher for younger adults compared to older adults. And second, women outpace men in educational attainment across most age groups other than the 65+ population. There are particularly large gaps for the 25 to 34-year-old bachelor's degree attainment here, with 44% of women attaining a bachelor's degree compared to 29.2% of men. Next, we show median annual earnings for the population 25 years and over by sex and educational attainment. Here we see that as educational attainment increases, so too do individuals' earnings. And across all attainment groups displayed in the figure, men earn more than women with the same level of attainment. For example, men with a bachelor's degree have median annual earnings of $32,000 a year compared to $26,000 a year for women. It's beyond the scope of this presentation to delve into why these gaps in earning exist, but this is a phenomenon that is continuously being explored in social science research, and these data are a good tool to be used to explore it. So now that we've talked a little bit about educational attainment, in this next section, we're going to shift to what we have available for field of degree data. One thing to note is that field of degree data is for people's bachelor's degrees. If individuals have degrees beyond a bachelor's, we do not have information on the field in which that advanced degree was obtained. This figure presents the percent of the population 25 years and over that had each type of field of degree in 2017 and 2022. Now, the estimates are relatively stable across the period. 28.8% of bachelor's degree holders in Puerto Rico had a business degree, and 17% had an education degree in 2022. The rest of the fields are relatively small in their rate, but we do see some general growth in science and engineering fields. For example, biological, agricultural, and environmental sciences increased from 2017 to 2022. Now, this figure shows sex by age by field of degree for the population 25 years and over. Here we can see differences in the rates of field of degree by sex and age. And I do want to note here that we use a more collapsed version of field of degree than we used on the previous category. In each section of the graph, you'll see each age group with 25 to 39 here, 40 to 64 here, and 65 years and over here. And again, women are represented by the orange bars, with men represented by the blue bars. Now here we see across age groups, men have higher rates of science and engineering degrees, but that gap is smaller for younger adults. And second, adults 65 years and over have significantly higher rates of education degrees than do young adults. For example, 35.7% of women 65 years and older have bachelor's degrees in education, compared to just 14% of women who are 25 to 39. So we see some interesting differences here emerge, both by sex and by age. Here we're showing median annual earnings by field of degree for the population 25 to 64 in Puerto Rico, using the ACS 5-year data. The bars extending off each field of degree represent the margin of error for each estimate, with some field of degrees do vary significantly across individuals, and you may notice larger error bars there. These results show that earnings vary by degree type, with the highest earning field being engineering at the top, with median annual earnings of $56,000. and the lowest earning field at the bottom being visual and performing arts, earning $22,000 annually. Now, in this next section, we present a series of maps using ACS 5-year data. And with the 5-year data set, we're able to produce estimates for all counties in Puerto Rico. Now, the general format we're going to show here is we're going to first show a 2013 to 2017 estimate, and then follow that up with the most recent 5-year estimate, which is the 2018 to 2022 file. The first graph we're showing here is the percentage of people 25 years and over graduating from high school or higher in Puerto Rico from 2013 to 2017. I'll note here the lowest category is less than 65%, and the highest category is 80% or greater. I'm going to go ahead and flip to the most recent map. I'm going to flip back a couple times. Now, when comparing the two maps, we see attainment increased across most counties, and counties with some of the highest rates of high school degree attainment were concentrated on the northeastern part of the island near San Juan, and the southern part of the island near Ponce. I do want to give you a second to check out these maps, and again, let you know that this presentation is going to be made available online. But you can see here the darkening of the map over time indicates higher levels of attainment across counties. Now, this next set of maps is going to display the same comparison that we just showed, but for bachelor's degree attainment instead of high school degree. I do want to note here that the categories for the legend is different, with the lowest category being less than 15% and the highest being 30% or greater. And this first map here is representing the percentage of persons 25 years and older with a bachelor's degree or higher in the 2013 to 2017 ACS file. Now, to flip that forward, here we see the same comparison for 2018 to 2022. And like the prior map, we see the highest levels. We see general growth across the period, with 2013 to 2017 here, 2018 to 2022 here. And we see the highest level of attainment near San Juan and some of the southern and western coast. I'll just again give you a brief moment to take a look at the map. And in this final set of maps, we examine field of degree by county and compare changes from 2013 to 2017 to 2018 to 2022. The colors in the map represent the most common field of degree group in each county. In the 2013 to 2017 map, we see the majority of counties had either business in green or education in yellow as their most common major. Now, flipping ahead to the 2018 to 2022 file, these business and education groups, again, business in green and education in yellow, were still some of the most common majors in many counties in 2018 to 2022, but you can see a clear growth in science and engineering majors here as well in blue. One thing to note is that purple county in the middle right here represents science and engineering related fields, and just as an example of what comprises that group, one major that would be included there is nursing. Again, I'll just flip back once. You can see the growth in science and engineering degrees across counties. So just in conclusion, the Puerto Rico Community Survey offers a variety of ways to explore both educational attainment and school enrollment data for Puerto Rico. You can look at the data over time, the earliest file being in 2005, across different geographies, and by various demographic, economic, and social characteristics. If you would like assistance using these data or have more questions, we're happy to answer them. I've included some emails of us here that you can reach out with more questions. Thank you.
Thank you again, Kevin and Josue, for those great presentations. We'll now answer a few questions that have come up in the Q&A field. If you still have questions, please enter them in that field now, and we will try to answer them in the time remaining. So one of the first questions I saw come in was a question on what the root causes for the decline in public school enrollment might be attributable to, and I was wondering if either of you had comment on that. I know the presentations that didn't specifically speak to any of that.
Yes. Hi. No. Good question. There could be several reasons, and I feel that the Common Core data, along with the American Community Survey data, are good starts to start to review possible drivers for the change. We know that there's been demographic shifts in the population in Puerto Rico, but the reasons why the changes have happened in Puerto Rico or across the nation, there's still more research that needs to be conducted, and our hope here is with a better understanding of what could be done with CCD and ACS. I think it's a good way to start looking into that a little bit closer.
I think for the ACS side of things, it's definitely, I think there are a number of things like Josh was just saying that can contribute here to declining enrollment, and getting at some of those demographics, looking at various related measures is something you can definitely do with the ACS data. And I would encourage you to poke around if you on data.census.gov if you have interest there. And like Kevin said, please feel free to reach out to us if you have questions about how to use that. Let me see. There are a couple of questions that appear that were answered during the presentations. One I had noted was about questions about special education services, and I believe NCES has tables that relate to that specifically. The Puerto Rican Community Survey and the American Community Survey do not specifically ask about special education services, to the best of my knowledge, and I do not believe they're being added in the next wave of questions. One question I'm seeing here that has not yet been answered is, where can I find years of schooling and graduation developments? Could you put maybe a little bit more specificity in the question and answer box? Are you looking for the number of years of school for which an individual has completed? A question in the chat, is there public access to accountability and achievement data from public schools? For example, state testing results by grade, gender, race, ethnicity, etc.
Yes, I will put in the chat. It's a service provided from the Department of Education. So we partner with our colleagues across the Department of Education with some of their data collections through our EdFacts collection. And I'll put the general website there that has many of those collections available online. And I'll also share the link for our specific achievement collection, NAEP, in the chat as well.
I see a question in the chat. Is there information on where K through 12 students are moving to the US due to the outmigration from Puerto Rico? I believe we have, not in our area specifically, but the Puerto Rico Community Survey does have data on migration flows. I believe there are county to county flows, but you would need to check with that subject matter area. If you would like further information, please let us know and we can maybe put you in contact with the people that work on those data. Just looking at the chat, I believe all of the questions that were asked were answered directly or in this question and answer session, but I would like to still leave some time open if there are any further questions from anyone attending this webinar. A question on whether or not there's going to be an RFP or opportunities for providing services. I don't have an answer for that. Maybe if you could put a little more detail in the question. And as for contact links, just a reminder that all this presentation is being recorded and will be made available online, along with all of the materials used in the presentation, and I believe our email addresses are included in each of the 2 slideshows. A question as to the purpose of today's presentation, and it is to share new data that we have both out of NCES and out of the Census Bureau for educational enrollment and attainment data within Puerto Rico. We will put the link to the presentation. I believe Misty just posted it in chat. If you open up your chat window, that is the link where the recorded presentation and the slides will live within the next 30 days. A question: is it possible to download graduation rates for a couple of years for each public school in Puerto Rico from the NCES website?
The good question. If you can send me a private message with your contact information, I will get back to you about the availability of that information.
Again, it seems like all of the questions have been answered or are being answered in direct messages. So a final call for any other questions in our Q&A session before we close out today's presentations. Hearing none, I'd like to again thank Kevin and Josue for their interesting presentations today. This will conclude our Q&A portion. I'd like to thank everybody who played a role in setting up today's webinar, and of course, you, the audience, for spending your time with us this afternoon.
This concludes today's webinar. Thank you for your participation. You may disconnect at this time.